Hot Boy's luck just ran out. Like, for real this time, a judge slammed him with a sentence so heavy it might keep him off the streets forever. From small-time trouble to big-league crimes, his rap sheet has been stacking up for years. But this time, it ain't just about him. He's pulled his baby mama and his little kid straight into the chaos.
It's in the store, right? It's me, my mom, and my daddy. So we're in the store. So you know how when you come to the line, you get to pick the candy when you go to the register and stuff. You get to pick your candy. So my mama like, hurry up, you better hurry up, we're gonna leave you. Better hurry up. I still don't know what I want. I'm looking. They leaving, I grab the candy and I gotta catch up. I end up stealing it.
Let's break this madness all the way down. The baby mama drama that blew everything sky high. Picture this, it's 3:40 a.m. on July 9th, 2025. Hot Boy gets snatched up in Doral, Florida. Charges, firearm possession and trespassing on school property. Sounds like another rapper wild and out, right? But nah, once you peel back the layers, this story turns way darker, like something straight out of a Netflix crime doc. Here's the kicker. Hot Boy's legal team says this whole nightmare popped off because his baby mama allegedly dropped his location on social media while he was chilling with his son. Now in the streets,
Florida rapper Hot Boy found himself in a familiar situation in the back of a police cruiser after officers say that he brought a gun and scaled a fence to get into a school.
That's the ultimate betrayal. You never expose your baby daddy's whereabouts, especially when he's got ops lurking ready to slide. But that's exactly what Asia Monroe, his baby mama, is accused of doing. And what unfolded next? Wild doesn't even begin to cover it. According to his lawyer, two masked men rolled up and tried to break into Hot Boy's crib while he was with his little boy. Any real father in that moment is gonna do what he gotta do. Protect his child at all costs. And that's exactly what Hot Boy did. He grabbed his strap, scooped up his son, and dipped out of there like his life depended on it. But here's where the whole thing takes a turn for the insane.
According to police, Hot Boy scaled a fence on the south end of the school and was later spotted on surveillance footage tossing a black Carhartt bag over a fence connected to a fancy community adjacent to the camp.
Hot Boy's luck finally snapped, and this time it's bad. A judge just hit him with a sentence that might lock him down for good. From petty crimes to serious charges, his rap sheet is stacked like a deck of bad cards. But this ain't just about him anymore. This time, he's dragged his baby mama and his little one straight into the storm. Let's break this wild mess all the way down. The baby mama drama that flipped everything upside down.
I used to just like steal, take stuff like that. I used to just take stuff. I used to snatch iPhones like that.
Picture this, it's 3:40 a.m. on July 9th, 2025. Hot Boy gets snatched up in Doral, Florida. Charges, firearm possession and trespassing on school property. At first glance, it might sound like another rapper caught slipping, but once you dig into what really went down, it reads like a plot straight out of a crime series. According to his legal team, the nightmare kicked off when his baby mama allegedly dropped his location on social media while he was with his son. In the streets, that's the ultimate violation. You don't ever expose your baby daddy's whereabouts like that, especially if he's got ops lurking and plotting. But that's exactly what Asia Monroe, his baby mama, is accused of doing.
I used to just like steal, take stuff like that. I used to just take stuff. I used to snatch iPhones like that.
And what happened next? Straight chaos. The lawyer claims two masked men tried breaking into Hot Boy's house while he was inside with his son. And that's exactly what Hot Boy did. He grabbed his piece, snatched up his little boy, and dipped out of there like his life depended on it. But here's where the whole thing spiraled out of control. While trying to shield his family, Hot Boy got caught by the cops with that same gun on school property. And for a convicted felon, there's probably no worse place to get caught holding heat. Surveillance footage shows him scaling a fence and tossing a black Carhartt bag over another one. Inside, a Glock 45 9mm. Now, here's the kicker. Hot Boy was already on probation. Getting caught with a strap is a massive violation. But getting caught on school grounds, that's a whole different level of trouble. It's the kind of move that'll have judges throwing the book at you. He managed to post a $2,500 bond the next day and walked free for now. But if you know how the system works, you know a low bond doesn't always mean freedom. Sometimes they give you just enough rope to hang yourself later in court. And in front of a judge, they don't play games with repeat offenders, especially ones bringing guns near schools. Here's the part that really hits different. If his lawyer's story holds weight, then Hot Boy got set up by the one person who should have been protecting him the most, the mother of his child. Instead of holding him down, she allegedly put him and their son in the line of fire by putting their location on blast for the whole world to see. In the hood, there's a saying, keep your circle tight and your mouth even tighter. But when the people closest to you start moving like enemies, that's when you know you're deep in trouble. Now the streets are buzzing about this situation and opinions are split. Some folks are saying Hot Boy was just doing what any father would do, protecting his family, and got caught up in a bad hand. Others, they're questioning how much of this was self-defense and how much was recklessness. Some folks are saying Hot Boy should have known better, rolling around with a gun while on probation. That's a dangerous gamble for anybody, but especially for someone with his history in the system. After everything he's been through with the law, you'd think he'd move smarter. Everybody agrees on? Having your own baby mama leak your location like that is next level betrayal. That move breaks every code of the streets. You're supposed to hold your man down, not put him and your child in the crosshairs. What makes this whole situation even sadder is the fact this marks Hot Boy's 5th arrest in just 7 years. That's a pattern the courts don't ignore. When you keep landing in the same kind of mess, judges lose patience fast. And when you're already on probation, any new charge doesn't just bring fresh time, it can also trigger the time you owed from the previous case. And here's where it cuts deeper. There were kids caught up in this. The presence of his child makes the case even heavier in the eyes of the law. Hot Boy's lawyer stressed he was acting on instinct to protect his son, and most parents can understand that split-second decision. But the system doesn't care about good intentions. When you're a convicted felon caught holding heat on school grounds, judges don't care about the why. They only see the charges stacked against you, and the timing couldn't have been worse for his career. Hot Boy had just gotten out in September 2024 after doing over 2 years on RICO charges. He was finally trying to rebuild his life and get his music popping again, but now this latest arrest might derail everything he worked so hard to bounce back from. Hot Boy had been dropping fresh tracks and finally looked like he was getting his life back on track. But this July 2025 incident, it might have just wrecked all that progress. So how did he even get caught up in RICO charges, federal heat, and deadly street politics in the first place? Now that you see how Hot Boy's story might be crashing down, let's hit rewind and talk about the case that really flipped his whole world upside down. The RICO charges. The ones that had him locked away for over 2 years and made folks realize he wasn't just spitting bars. He was allegedly running with and possibly leading a full-blown gang operation. This was the moment where the lines between Hot Boy the rapper and Hot Boy the street figure started to blur. And it pulled his entire career into a dangerous spiral. It all kicked off back in July 2021. Hot Boy got swept up as part of Operation X-Force, a massive 9-month investigation that took down 34 people, including another Orlando rapper, 9 Lock 9. But this wasn't your typical drug bust or gang sweep. Nah. This was a federal operation with RICO charges at the center. And when the feds start tossing out RICO charges, that means they've been sitting back, watching, and stacking evidence for months, sometimes even years. RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the same law they used to crush the mafia back in the day. And here's why it's so dangerous. Prosecutors aren't just saying you committed a few crimes, they're saying you're part of a whole criminal enterprise. A machine designed to pull in cash through illegal moves. And trust when RICO is on the table, the penalties hit way harder. It's no longer about small charges. It's about tearing apart entire organizations and throwing leaders behind bars for decades. We're talking about potential 30-year sentences here, the kind of time that can completely erase your life and legacy. According to authorities, Hot Boy wasn't just a rapper caught in the mix. They claim he was the alleged leader of the 438 gang, operating out of Orlando's Silver Star Road area. And 438, they were locked in a bloody feud with the Army gang, allegedly led by fellow Orlando rapper Glock 9. But let's be clear, this wasn't some rap beef that spiraled out of control for clout. Investigators connected this rivalry to over 30 shootings and multiple homicides, including innocent bystanders who had absolutely nothing to do with the streets. The most heartbreaking part, the young lives lost because of this deadly war. 16-year-old Taya King, the niece of Orlando City Commissioner Regina Hill, was gunned down. And then there was Dexter Rentz Jr., a rising football star at Ocoee High School. He had a full scholarship lined up with the University of Louisville. Both of them gone too soon. Victims of a street war they never signed up for. These were kids with dreams, kids with futures, caught in crossfire they didn't deserve. Now here's where it gets even crazier from a legal standpoint. Prosecutors built their case against Hot Boy on two main pillars: his Instagram activity and a gun found in his car. They claim his social media posts, especially pictures flexing firearms and lyrics referencing 438, amounted to him using electronic communication to promote gang activity. Basically, the feds are saying he was putting the gang's business in plain sight for the world to see. And when prosecutors start connecting your art to the streets, that's when things get real dangerous. They're not just coming for your freedom, they're coming for your whole legacy. They also hit Hot Boy with firearm possession charges after finding a gun in his vehicle while he was attending a friend's funeral. And this is where the case starts to get murky, because now you've got that blurred line between art and real life. This has become a huge issue in hip-hop prosecutions. How do you separate someone's artistic expression from actual criminal activity? When a rapper talks about guns, gangs, and street life in their lyrics or flashes straps on social media, is that really promoting violence or just storytelling about the environment they came from? Hot Boy's attorney Lyle Mason wasn't having it. He argued 438 wasn't a gang at all. It was just a hashtag, a way to represent Hot Boy's neighborhood in the Pine Hills area of Orlando. Mason even compared Hot Boy's moves to legendary rappers like Biggie and Kodak Black, saying he wasn't promoting a gang, he was promoting his label and his music. That's all it was. No different than Biggie Smalls or Kodak Black pushing their art. The defense also claimed the gun found in Hot Boy's car didn't even belong to him. They said it was his security team's weapon, strictly for protection because of serious threats from rival crews. And here's the thing, this isn't uncommon in the rap game. When you're beefing with other crews and have a target on your back, security is a must. But even with hired security, if anything goes sideways, the rapper can end up holding the bag legally. What made this situation even hotter? The connection to his rival, 9 Lock 9 and the Army gang. That deadly feud had already spilled enough blood in Orlando, and prosecutors weren't about to let it slide. Now, the big question, was Hot Boy really running a criminal enterprise, or was he just another artist caught between the streets he came from and the fame he was trying to build? The investigation uncovered a chilling pattern of retaliatory violence that had been building for years. It all exploded on April 14th, 2020, when Demetrius Cox, tied to the Army gang, fatally shot Wolf Luther King Luma, an associate of the 438 gang, at a house party. That single hit sparked a vicious cycle of revenge that would end up claiming multiple lives. Over the next few months, things spiraled out of control. The violence wasn't staying in the streets anymore. It started spilling into public spaces. One of the most shocking moments came during a shootout at the mall at Millennia in Orlando. The 438 gang allegedly targeted 9 Lock 9 there. While no one was killed in that particular incident, it was a huge wake-up call. This beef wasn't just dangerous for gang members. It was putting regular people at risk, too. That's when law enforcement decided enough was enough. The FBI and local authorities launched Operation X-Force, a massive 9-month investigation designed to crush the growing chaos. By the end, 34 people were arrested, exposing just how deep and widespread this alleged criminal network really was. This wasn't just a few friends rapping about street life. According to prosecutors, this was a well-organized criminal enterprise, with members allegedly running all kinds of illegal operations under the radar. As for Hot Boy, he was right in the center of it all, or so the authorities claimed. When he was arrested, they slapped him with a $750,000 bond, sending a loud message. The court saw him as a major player and a serious flight risk. When judges set a bond that high, they're not just holding you, they're warning you. We're watching and we're coming hard. The investigation revealed a pattern of retaliatory. Over the following months, the violence escalated to public spaces, including a shootout at the mall at Millennia in Orlando, where the 438 gang allegedly targeted 9 Lock 9. Well, nobody was killed in that incident. It showed that this beef was spilling over to places where regular civilians could get hurt, which is when law enforcement really started paying attention. The FBI and local authorities launched Operation X-Force specifically to address this escalating violence. The investigation lasted 9 months and resulted in 34 arrests, showing just how extensive the alleged criminal organization was. This wasn't just a few friends rapping about the streets. According to prosecutors, this was a sophisticated criminal enterprise with multiple members engaging in various illegal activities. Hot Boy was initially held on a $750,000 bond, which shows how seriously the courts took these charges. When judges set bonds that high, they're sending a message that they consider the defendant a serious flight risk. At just 21 years old, Hot Boy was staring down charges so heavy they could have erased his entire future. But here's where his story takes a surprising twist. After spending over 2 years behind bars, his RICO charges were suddenly dropped as part of a plea deal. Instead, he pled guilty to a single count of conspiracy and was sentenced to time served plus 5 years of probation. This was a massive win for his legal team. Why? Because RICO convictions usually come with decades in prison. Escaping that fate showed how critical it is to have a sharp defense team when you're facing serious federal heat. His lawyer's argument that 438 wasn't a gang, but just a neighborhood hashtag, ultimately convinced prosecutors to settle for a lesser charge. When Hot Boy walked out of jail in September 2024, he wasted no time reclaiming his spot. He dropped a track called 9/11 First Day Out, and it went crazy. The video racked up 1.2 million views in no time, proving his fan base hadn't gone anywhere. This isn't unusual in hip-hop. For some artists, legal trouble can actually boost their street credibility and make their fans ride even harder for them. But don't get it twisted. The RICO case wasn't Hot Boy's only run-in with the law. According to court records, he'd been arrested multiple times between 2018 and 2025. Charges including gun possession, marijuana possession, and resisting an officer. That long history of arrests created a dangerous pattern. So every time he caught a new charge, the courts viewed it with even more scrutiny. In the system's eyes, he wasn't just a one-time offender, he was a repeat player skating on thin ice. And in the streets, that made his next moves even more critical. By February 2025, just months after walking free, Hot Boy was back in cuffs, arrested again in Orlando. The charges were murky at first, but reports hinted it might have been tied to probation violations. This latest arrest proved one thing. Even after beating the RICO case, Hot Boy was still fighting to break free from the grip of the system.
I'm Omar. We not see.
What's really tragic about his legal drama is how it's completely overshadowed what could have been a massive music career. Hot Boy wasn't just some local rapper grinding for clout. He had major label deals with Geffen and Interscope Records and was collaborating with heavyweights like Future, Lil Baby, and Polo G. His hit Don't Need Time went platinum, showing the world that he had real talent and commercial pull. Fans and industry insiders alike believed he was on track to become one of the biggest voices out of Florida. But the streets, They've got a way of pulling you back in. For Hot Boy, every time he tried to focus on his music, legal problems seemed to drag him right back into the chaos. The RICO case alone stole over 2 years of his prime, derailing his momentum just as his career was about to explode. And now this fresh arrest in July 2025 threatens to wipe out all the progress he fought so hard to make since getting out. To really understand how Hot Boy ended up facing so many serious legal battles, you've got to look at where he came from. His upbringing and early environment shaped the man he became and the struggles he can't seem to escape. The truth is, Hot Boy's story ain't rare. It's the same struggle a lot of young men face, caught between chasing their dreams and surviving the harsh reality of street life. From Pine Hills to prison, his journey mirrors countless others who never got a fair shot. To really understand how Hot Boy ended up staring down a potential life sentence, we gotta rewind all the way back to the start. Back to Pine Hills, Orlando, where a young boy named Javari Latre Walker learned early on that in his world, sometimes you gotta take what you need just to survive. This is the part of this story that explains everything else. Because the streets don't just pop up in your life overnight. They shape you slowly, teaching you hard lessons that stick for life. Hot Boy was born on June 13th, 2000 in Orlando, Florida. He grew up in Pine Hills, one of the city's toughest neighborhoods, as one of 17 siblings. Now, picture this. A single-parent household with 17 kids in a place where resources were so scarce that basic necessities felt like luxuries. Every meal, a blessing. Every pair of shoes, something to fight over. Hot Boy's father wasn't consistently in the picture, leaving his mother to hold it all down on her own. With that many mouths to feed, she couldn't be everywhere at once, so the kids learned independence fast, too fast. Survival became second nature. In Pine Hills, kids grow up quick. The streets don't wait for you to finish being a child. They pull you in, chew you up, and teach you that trust is rare and loyalty can cost you your life. This is where Hot Boy's foundation was built. The environment that molded him long before he ever picked up a mic or dreamed about platinum records. Imagine the weight on her shoulders, the stress, the sleepless nights, the impossible choices she had to make just to keep her family afloat. The lights get cut off, the rent's overdue, and there are 17 hungry kids looking up at you for answers. That kind of pressure, it would break most people. Pine Hills wasn't the Orlando tourists see at Disney World. Nah, this was the other side of the city. The side where poverty and crime wrapped around families like a chokehold, forcing kids to grow up too fast. In that environment, the streets start looking like your only option way before you're old enough to even understand what those choices really cost. Hot Boy started rapping when he was just 7 years old, already trying to find a way to express himself, to process the chaos around him, and maybe, just maybe, escape it all one day. Music became his outlet, his therapy. But while he was pouring his thoughts into rhymes, he was also picking up another kind of education. How to survive in a world that doesn't give second chances. The first time Hot Boy stole something, he was only 4 years old, and he remembers it like it happened yesterday. That story might sound harmless, a 4-year-old swiping candy, but it speaks volumes about the world Hot Boy was growing up in. When survival instincts kick in that young, when a kid learns early on that sometimes you gotta take what you need because no one else is gonna hand it to you, that's the kind of lesson that sticks. It shapes the way you see the world and how you move in it forever. Fast forward to 2015, with his mom's encouragement, Hot Boy started uploading his music to SoundCloud and YouTube. Back then, streaming was still fresh, an era where an artist could build a fan base straight from their bedroom if they had enough talent and grind. And Hot Boy, he had both. But just as his creativity was starting to take off, the harsh realities of street life came crashing in. As he got older, his criminal activity started escalating. What began as petty theft grew into something bigger. He went from snatching iPhones to burglarizing homes. At just 15 years old, Hot Boy caught his first burglary charge. That charge sent him away to a juvenile detention program where he'd spend 2 long years from 2016 to 2018. Here's the twist, though. Instead of letting that time break him, Hot Boy used it to sharpen his focus on music. While locked up, he wrote countless songs that would later form the backbone of his debut mixtape, Cut the Fan On. One track in particular, Graham House Blues, gives us a raw, unfiltered glimpse into his life during detention. The pain, the lessons, and the determination he poured into those lyrics show a young man trying to make sense of his world and plotting his way out. In his lyrics, Hot Boy painted a vivid picture of what it's like to be locked up as a teenager, the loneliness, the walls closing in, and the fire inside to rise above it all. Go back to the streets or fight for something better. For a moment, it seemed like music might be his ticket out. Hot Boy hit the ground running. In 2019, he dropped a raw track that felt like a survival manual for street life. It detailed his experiences and tactics for navigating a dangerous world. The song sparked a local buzz, proving that his time in juvenile detention hadn't dulled his ambition, it had sharpened it. But his real breakthrough came in April 2020 with the release of Don't Need Time. The track was written in memory of his late friend Wolf, and it struck a nerve with listeners. For the first time, fans saw a more vulnerable, introspective side of Hot Boy. He wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was pouring his pain, loyalty, and regrets into every word. That honesty paid off. Don't Need Time blew up, racking up over 9 million streams on Spotify and 24 million views on YouTube in just 5 months. The song's raw emotion and haunting delivery turned it into an anthem for a generation of fans who felt his struggle. The track even went platinum, certified by the RIAA. And when he dropped the remix featuring Lil Baby, it cemented Hot Boy as one of the hottest rising stars in the game. The Lil Baby remix further blew up Don't Need Time, catapulting Hot Boy's name into hip-hop's mainstream. His profile was rising fast, and it seemed like he was finally breaking free. But even as his music career took off, Hot Boy couldn't fully shake the streets that had shaped him. His lyrics reflected the harsh reality of his environment, raw and unfiltered. On social media, he continued repping the 438 area code and lifestyle, moves that would later become the focus of prosecutors building their case against him. On May 22nd, 2020, he dropped his first mixtape, Cut the Fan On, featuring collaborations with artists like LPB Pootie and Rico Cartel. The project earned praise from publications like Pitchfork and Audio Mac, who highlighted Hot Boy's ability to blend authentic street storytelling with melodic, modern hip-hop vibes. His growing success led to a major deal with Interscope Records, Geffen Records, and Rebel Music, giving him the kind of resources and distribution most up-and-coming artists could only dream of. From there, Hot Boy started moving in bigger circles. He teamed up with Future on Nobody Special and linked with Polo G for Goat Talk 2. These high-profile collabs made it clear. The industry was watching, and they believed in his talent. By the end of 2020, Hot Boy dropped his debut studio album, Do Baby, on December 22nd. He followed it up with Life of a Hot Boy in 2021 and Blinded by Death in 2022. That last album marked a milestone, debuting at number 89 on the Billboard 200 chart. For a kid from Pine Hills, this was huge. But here's the hard truth. Success in music doesn't automatically erase the street ties and influences that raised you. For Hot Boy, fame and the hood were on a collision course, and the fallout was inevitable. For artists coming out of the streets, there's always this heavy pull, a constant tension between where you've been and where you're trying to go. It's a fight between loyalty to the place that raised you and the hard truth that sometimes you've got to leave it all behind just to survive. For Hot Boy, that struggle was front and center. His connection to the 438 gang and his growing stack of legal troubles showed how hard it is to break free from the environment that made you, even when you're winning on the biggest stages. Because here's the thing, the streets have a way of following you, and if you're still repping them in your lyrics and flashing pieces of that life on social media, it gets even harder to outrun the shadows. The tragedy in Hot Boy's story isn't just the legal drama, it's that he clearly had the talent and drive to build a long-lasting music career. The numbers didn't lie. Massive streaming stats, Billboard chart placements, and collaborations with some of the biggest names in hip-hop all proved he had what it takes to compete at the highest level. But his past kept knocking. The mix of a criminal record and fresh legal issues created a pattern that was nearly impossible to shake. From 2018 to 2025, Hot Boy faced multiple arrests. Charges ranging from gun possession to drug charges and eventually the high-stakes RICO case. For the courts, that pattern wasn't just a list of mistakes, it was a warning sign, and every new charge only gave judges more reason to come down harder, stacking up time that threatened to bury his career for good. Each arrest only made the next one more serious, trapping Hot Boy in a cycle where the stakes kept getting higher and the consequences heavier. You can hear the weight of his upbringing all throughout his music. Tracks like Graham House Blues and Don't Need Time pull directly from his own pain. Incarceration, loss, and the struggles of street life. His ability to turn those experiences into powerful, relatable music was his greatest gift as an artist. But it also meant he was constantly towing the line between art and autobiography. In interviews, Hot Boy often spoke about his responsibility to represent for Pine Hills and for everyone coming from the same kind of struggle he grew up in. That sense of loyalty runs deep in hip-hop culture. It's a badge of honor. But that same loyalty can become a chain, pulling artists back into the very environments they're trying so hard to escape. The final irony of Hot Boy's story, his July 2025 arrest, the one that could send him away for good, wasn't about clout, gangs, or money. It came from his attempt to protect his son. That moment, raw and human, might be the most relatable part of his entire journey. After everything, the fame, the legal battles, the time behind bars, when it came down to it, he was a father first. But even that instinct, that primal need to shield his child, created the circumstances that might end his freedom forever. If you found this story gripping, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Which part of Hot Boy's story hit you the hardest? Let's talk about it. And don't forget to click one of the videos on your screen to keep diving into more stories like this. See you in the next one.